Hey everybody, I wanted to have a heart to heart with everybody because I think this is such a difficult period of time for almost everybody. And most of you know that what I do a majority of the time are one-on-one sessions with people all over the world, all ages, not just children. And so I feel like I have a very unique ability to peek into the window of so many people's lives, and it's a beautiful thing, but it's also very sad sometimes because I see such a theme of vulnerability right now. People are feeling lost. They're feeling like they're not supported. There's a lot of people feeling like they want to give up. And I just it's hard right now. And I've been there. I've had days where I'm just like, I'm over this. I'm going to turn off my camera, I'm not doing any more videos, and I'm just going to focus on my family and forget all of this stuff. And then I have my little pity party, and then the next morning I wake up and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, get up, and this is just how it is right now, where a lot of people are struggling. But the thing that's disheartening about all of this is that the and for those of you that read my books, the newest book, Starseeds and the Great Awakening, are going to understand what I'm talking about. The 3D interference is really at an all-time high right now. They're pulling out all of their tricks, and people are really feeling overwhelmed. They're feeling down. They're feeling defeated. They're feeling like nothing is moving forward, and the rise of suicidal thoughts right now is staggering to me. Like it should be like a national headline. Why are people feeling? Why are people feeling like they want to give up? Why are people feeling like they are done with this and are actually having suicidal thoughts for the first time in their life? What is everybody's mindset like right now? What is everybody focusing their thoughts on right now? And it's really hard to remain positive when we are continuously being bombarded with subliminal messages through it's not just the TV. I mean, if those of you who are on social media and Instagram and Facebook and all of these places and all of these apps, and even the YouTube and all of these um, all of these technological advancements have a positive, but they also have a negative undertone to them. And if the dark players have the ability to reach any of us through these outlets, the phone, the computer, the TV, the satellites, we're being bombarded in ways we haven't even thought about, that are just, they're everywhere, through radio waves, through satellite waves. Sometimes we go outside for a walk and we come back and we don't even feel that much better. And we're like, how is that? We're outside, but there's just, there's things coming from the sky, the trails, I don't want to say the whole word, in many places still occurring. There is, through the electronics, the electrical magnetic field and the circuits that they've created, these cities where they feed off of our energy, but they also siphon off our energy, but they also emit frequencies to keep us and embed us in these lower density fields. And then there's the voice of God technology that is working overtime right now, where everyone is feeling, but also experiencing thoughts that are disturbing to them, where they are just like, I'm over it. I'm normally a positive person, but I'm at my wit's end. And then they have these constant projections or stories out there of negativity, and it's just over and over, and now they want us to focus, and they have the wars that are going on. I'm not political, and I'm not going to get into the specifics of all of that, and my intention is not to go there. My intention is to take people away from there, and I'm not saying to ignore the wars, and I'm not saying that it's not important and not relevant, but we don't know how much we're lied to. It's not even, people don't even know what to believe anymore, who to believe, what pictures are real. I see the same picture being debunked by all these different platforms, and it gets exhausting for people because your heart gets attached to this energy, and then you find out, oh, it was a fraud, it wasn't real. It's really exhausting, and people are feeling like they're in a washing machine of emotion right now, and they can't figure out how to get their footing back. And I'll tell you, the way that we don't get it back is by focusing our thoughts and our attention on what they want us to, which is the negative. They want us to watch the TV or even on the news feeds on our social media. I mean, we can't escape it. Even just because we stop watching the news, it's still coming through the different social media platforms. It's everywhere. People are, even friends and family that I know, are posting things all over social media. So it's like you can't get away from it. Now, there's a level of awareness that we need to have and to be educated and to know what is going on. But it's all about, okay, once we feel like we've filled our cup of knowledge up, of kind of like, okay, I kind of know what's going on, even though we don't ever really know fully what's going on. We feel like, okay, I know what the rumors are and I know what is being said, at least. But then it's like, okay, what do you do with that information? What can you do to change it? And to be honest, a majority of us can't really do anything about the lies or what's happening in the world, from where we sit in our ability to actually create true change from our vantage point, from our ability, from what we are capable of doing. So what is the alternative? They want us to focus on the negative and to be afraid and to fear that we're going to have a lack of this or another strain of illness. I have to be careful with my words, are going to come out, or more wars, or there are some doom and gloom. I got to be careful how I talk. There are people out there doing interviews that are really scaring people right now. I'm not going to say anything bad about anybody. If they feel it's their mission and journey to say these certain things, then that's their mission and their journey. It's not their fault, and it's not their burden to react to it. It's ours as the audience to decide and decipher what we hear is truth or not truth. And even if we believe things to some degree, again, I'm a problem solving oriented type of person. Okay, now what do we do with that information? Now that we know that, are we going to live in fear? Am I going to get upset, throw things around? What am I going to do? And that's the important aspect. That's the part of the equation I think that many people are missing. It's okay, what do we do with the information now that we've received it? Some people will discard it and say, I am not. And I've seen people's comments. I've seen people say to certain videos or certain news that's occurring, current events or lies or whatever it may be, that I refuse to believe that's not in my reality. Then there are other people that say, oh my God, I'm so scared now. What do I do? I'm really freaking out. And then kind of everything in between. And people are reacting to it as they feel, and as they are perceiving the information as it comes through. They go through their filter of discernment and they decide, I resonate with this person and what they're saying, or I really don't resonate with this person or what they're saying, so I'm not going to listen to them anymore. And like I said, and everything in between. So I feel like it's fundamental and really important right now for people to take in the information and receive it if you feel necessary. But then how you react to it is the most important part. I think that is the most important part of the ascension right now, and the evolution of this species that we are all actively participating in the evolution of is the growth, is the activation of a higher density of consciousness. How do we react to certain things? Back in the day, to a negative amount of information coming through, it might have started immediate wars, and people would go out and start fighting with each other and point fingers and say it's their fault and this and that. And we've come a long way in a lot of respects from that point. But how are we handling the information that's coming through right now? How is it filtering through our discernment and our knowing? And then on top of that, what are we doing with that information? What actions are we taking or are we not taking? And one of the most simple things that we can do right now to remain centered, spiritually centered, and to remain balanced, and to project high vibrational and energy out into the collective, is to remain grounded and say, okay, I'm not sure what to believe. Maybe I'm not sure if I believe him or her. He was really compelling. She was really compelling, but it really scared me. And you sit with that information and decide, okay, what do I want to do with that information? And you don't need to talk to everybody you know about it, and because sometimes that will influence our decision away or stray us away from our own knowing or how we genuinely feel about a certain thing. So really you have to sit with this and not ask your neighbor, but just ask yourself, where am I? Where is this hitting me? Physically too, where in the body is this bothering me? Where in this body is it igniting something within me? What emotions are being ignited as a result of this conversation I just heard, or this news, this news segment that I just saw, or this interview that I just saw? Why am I reacting this way? And then slowly try to bring yourself back to a space of neutrality. That's where we need to be. We need to be in a neutral space of, and I do this frequently. I say, I guess certainly that is a possibility, but that is not a reality that I am participating in or actively consenting in. And I say that, but then I immediately follow that with the manifestation energetically and intention that I put out or I project of what I want instead of that. Instead of saying, oh, my world is not going to be like that. Okay, well, what is it going to be like? And if a majority, doesn't have to be everybody, but a good majority of the population, the collective, those of you that are watching me right now that know what's going on for the most part, or awake enough for the most part, are not buying into these agendas, the 3D interference, all of this stuff, and you have a good solid foundation, then you say, I'm going to project what it is that I do want into the world instead of getting distracted by the wars and the fighting and the fear mongering. And we're not putting hopium out into the world. We're not doing any of that. But what we're doing is we're refusing to focus our attention here, because if they want us to focus our attention here, what is it over there that they don't want us to see? What are they distracting us from? And I think it's not necessarily one thing to another thing. I think it's just the mentality of freedom. It's our sovereignty. They want to distract us from our sovereignty that we have never lost. It's always remained there. We just didn't realize that we had it. We just thought that it wasn't something that we had access to for a variety of reasons. But if they're distracting us with all of these things, keeping us angry and in fear, and look what they're doing to this demographic, and look what's happening here, and they want to get the fear and the anger and the washing machine of negative emotions activated within us. And then what do? We're stirring in it. Our vibration is low. Then we start to feel headaches, and we start to feel like we're arguing and being argumentative with our friends and family, and we weren't before, and we lose our groundedness. Our spiritual center begins to shift. And we are not thinking from a place of balance, and we're not thinking of from a place of compassion and empathy for others. We're in survival mode. They want us to be in that survival, either the fight, the flight, or the freezers. Are you going to freeze and not know what to do? Put your tail between your legs and curl up into a ball and say, I don't know what to do. I'm frozen. Are you going to go out there and physically fight or do something that's going to be destructive? Are you going to run away and say, I'm not going to deal with this? I'm not going to freeze, but I'm going to go run and hide, to do something else. That's what they want. They want us to pick one of those options, because regardless of which one of those three or more we choose, it feeds their grid. It feeds they're able to loosh off of it, because that all of those emotions instill rage, sadness, frustration, anxiety, stress, guilt, shame. All of those lower vibrational emotions are a result of those survival instincts that we have. So if we replace ourselves or place ourselves out of that survival mode and place us in the parasympathetic, physiological, homeostatic, spiritually centered stasis of ourself, and we say, oh no, breathe it out. Think about this a little bit. Put myself back to a space of neutrality where I'm not angry. I'm not necessarily excited either. I'm just neutral. Let's just start there. Let's start to just put ourselves in a space of neutrality. And that's where we can at least begin to recharge our battery, lift our emotional well-being, start to raise our vibration a little bit. And then we can shift from the neutral space. Slowly we creep into, okay, now I'm motivated. Now I'm feeling secure. Now I'm feeling like I'm feeling positive. I'm feeling I'm getting my faith. My faith is returning. So you slowly kind of gradually go into the higher vibrational states. You don't jump from fear to joy in one step. It's many sometimes. It's a process. There's stages of energy that we shift in and out of. So my point being, if a majority of the collective can just stop focusing on the dangling carrot, or what it is that they want us to be upset about, or to fear, or to what's the word I'm trying to think of, to obsess over, then we say, no, I'm standing in my power. I do not consent to anything that does not align with my highest good. So that you don't need to talk about the wars. You don't need to talk about all the details. You just say any and all energy or experiences that are not in alignment with my highest good, I do not consent to them. And you can extend that out to your friends and your family and your loved ones. And you say, I hold the space, and I am intentionally creating an environment and a reality that is in the highest interest and then the highest vibration of all of those involved. So you don't have to know exactly what it is that you're manifesting, although you can. Like when I focus on education and children. So I try to focus my energy on just overall peace and wellness and peace and wellness, and stability for mankind and humanity. But then I also focus my attention more specifically on the educational aspect and the children, and I visualize the Aramis centers and what that will look like everywhere, all over the world, for all children involved and for their highest good, and what that will bring, not just the aspect of education, but the mental and emotional wellness and the stability and the foundation and the well-rounded upbringing of the future generations of children. Other people can focus on creating a beautiful earth and focusing on the nature element and the trees, and maybe some will focus on animals. So you can focus on something specific, but we can also focus on an overall overarching manifestation or projection of what it is that you want to see in the world. I want to see X, Y, and Z, and visualize it, hold on to it. And then when you're done with that vision and that intention, say, I'm so grateful that that's where we're going. So grateful that we're almost there. I'm so grateful that we are going to see that very soon. I'm so grateful that that will become that will become part of our reality. You can even say in 2024 or in 2023, and be specific about your year. It doesn't have to be realistic in the sense that you can say 2023. I mean, there's still a few months left. There's a lot that can happen. So you can say, or you can say, in the divine timing, that is in the alignment with the highest good of the collective. So there are a lot of different ways and variations you can say things, but I just want people to reevaluate, or just be mindful of your thoughts right now. What are you focusing your attention on? Are you focusing your attention on worry, doom and gloom, the election coming up or not coming up? Think about that. Or fear or anxiety or instability of financial needs, or what you don't have, or what you haven't accomplished yet, or how many friends you don't have, or all the things that are negative. And because if you continue to focus on all of those negative things, they may or may not be true, but it doesn't matter. If you're focusing your attention on that, then you will resonate at the vibration that matches those things. And then you will project that out into the universe. And because we are all co-creators, then the universe will match that. And that is the environment, and that is the reality that will start to manifest for you. And I was against this a while ago in past interviews. I said, I don't believe in this timeline split necessarily, because I don't think that there are words to truly describe what's happening. I still don't actually think it's a timeline split, but I also don't think that there are words in our vocabulary to describe what's actually going on. So we have to explain it in some way. And I think that there is a variation of a split-ish or something occurring where the consciousness is, does that make sense? The consciousness of the collective, there really is an energetic split occurring, where those are really anchored into 3D, that are influenced by the NPCs, that are not resisting change, that are solely focused on the negative. They're ready to go to war. They're ready to fight. They're ready to bring out their guns, and like all of this stuff, like extreme though. They're being lumped into a vortex of energy that's fueling the 3D grid. It's continuing to fuel this fight, this spiritual battle, that they don't realize that they're working against themselves. And then there is a large demographic that's growing. It started small, and it's growing every single day all over the world, getting bigger and bigger. And that is those people That is those people that are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and saying, I don't consent. I don't want that reality. So they are truly manifesting a better reality. They are shifting in density. Their vibration is rising. Their bodies are changing. Their outlook on life is changing. Their perception changes. How they look at the world is changing. They're not relating to most people in their reality anymore. They're not finding enjoyment in the things that they used to find enjoyment in. Like, they don't want to drink anymore. They don't want to go to parties anymore. They don't want to do, and they're becoming very introverted and very recluse, like the hermit, more and more, because they're just feeling like, I need to be by myself. And that's actually a good thing. It's a really good thing, because then they're able to go within. Like I always talk about, the best thing you can do right now is focus on yourself and go within, because once you have worked on yourself and you've done a certain amount of healing, then you can turn around and help other people, including your children and your spouse and your loved ones. But if you're trying to rescue everyone else and you're still drowning yourself, then everyone's gonna just fall with you. You have to focus and go within. So for those of you that are feeling secluded and being hermits and feeling like you need to be by yourself, don't feel guilt about that. Thank yourself for giving yourself the space and opportunity to heal in solidarity, because that's what you might need right now. You might need to be away from the influence of others and their energy and heal separately and profoundly on your own. So there's this larger demographic of consciousness that I believe that is propelling us into a higher vibrational field. Again, my opinion hasn't changed, regardless of what other people are saying right now. We are still ascending. We are at the point of no return. And it's just a matter of how quickly are we going to get through this. It has a lot to do with the other ones pulling us. If I had a good example right now, let's say, we have the negative consciousness. Let's see, we have the negative, and then we have the lighter consciousness of those that are in the bigger category that I just talked about. There's this give and take, this pull, and if this gets smaller and bigger, and this gets smaller and bigger. But now I feel like we're getting to a point where this isn't the exact formula right now. I'm just using these two crystals as an example. But if we can get to a point where this becomes really strong and we project out what it is that we want, and we don't focus on the wars and we don't focus on the negative, then we will start to distance ourselves even more and more and more and more until this gets smaller. Or maybe not, it just goes farther away, and this gets bigger and bigger and bigger until next thing you have a much larger version of that rose quartz there, where it's just a beautiful, magnificent collective of ascended or evolved beings that are continuously projecting what they want to see, not what they don't want, and not what the problems are, but what they want to see, what they want, what they are consenting to. And I believe that is the formula that will get us through this faster. It's like we have to cut the old energy, the ties, the anchors to the 3D that are holding us back. And the 3D players, the dark players that I call the dark players, are just doing everything they can to amplify all the things that I put in my book about 3D interference, all the things I didn't talk about, but are still part of 3D interference. It's like they're heightening it. They're doing everything they can to just imprint negative energy out into the world as much as possible through. So be careful what you are be careful what you focus your attention on, but also be careful of what you do with your time. How are you spending your time right now? Be careful about the movies that you're watching, the TV shows. A lot of them have subliminal messages, and the more awake you are, the more you alert to it faster, and you recognize it more quickly than you may have before. And you're like, oh, and then you stop watching it. And some of the people are like, I can't find one thing to watch right now. That's okay. Then listen to music. But then again, be careful what music you're listening to. I posted this on my page, Facebook, the other day. I would say a good majority of the supposed frequency, 432 hertz, 528 hertz, et cetera, on YouTube and what's available are other people who have downloaded those and then altered them in some way. So you want to really be careful what artists you're listening to, what melodies you're listening to, and what platforms you're listening to them on. So, if those of you who have like original records or original CDs of the solfeggio tones or like deuter or something like that, then they're more likely to be unaltered. But this day and age, just because it says it's something on YouTube doesn't mean that somebody else hasn't taken it and altered it in some way. So just, if you don't know, you don't know. Just listen to it. And if you feel off and you don't feel like it's energizing you or making you feel better, then don't ever listen to it again. Then that's probably you have to go within and kind of decide for yourself how you react to movies, TV shows, music, the people you're around, the food you eat. A lot of people are having a lot more food allergies these days because their body, as you go in a higher vibration, your bodies are rejecting more food, especially the sugars, the poisons that they're putting in our body that feeds the parasites and the illness. Please, like, we're going into Halloween and all these sugar-filled holidays. And it's just, and then we wonder why everyone's so sick. So just be mindful of what you're eating, what you're putting into your body, what you're listening to, what you're watching, who you are spending your time with, even what books you read. It's crazy. I know it's like you feel like you can't do anything. Go out in nature as much as possible and just try to control your environment as much as you can, because that will help you alter your state of consciousness and what you focus your attention and your thoughts on. Because your thoughts, even if you don't say it out loud, words have energy connected to them, but so does your thoughts, and as well. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Your thoughts have a frequency and energy attached to it, but so do words. It's energy. Everything is energy. So if you're thinking negative, you're putting it, it's still getting out there. Even if you're not saying it out loud, it still counts as what you're projecting out into the collective. Fear is a frequency, addiction is a frequency, love is a frequency, joy is a frequency, gratitude is a frequency. So ask yourself every day what frequency you are tuning into, and that will highly determine where you are going in life. If you feel like you are tuning into the gratitude frequency most days, then you are likely projecting gratitude out into the collective great work. But if you are feeling defeated, or you're tapping into the frequency of anxiety or worry or fear, then just know that if that's what you're connecting to, then that's what you're projecting out, and that's that's your contribution to the collective projection or the co-creation of where we are headed. So just think about that. If you're focused on the negative, then you are adding to the negative and you are projecting out negative. If you are trying to focus on the positive, that's what you're projecting and contributing. And if it's too hard to go from negative to positive, then remember, we have this beautiful space of in between called neutrality. And that's totally okay. If you're having a hard time seeing the positive elements, then try to put yourself in a space of neutrality so that you can feel like, I'm just going to hang out here in the neutral zone, because then you're not projecting any negative. You may not necessarily be contributing much positive, but that's okay. It's better to just kind of be in the neutral zone and not influence either one or the other necessarily. Because I promise you, the more you're in the neutral zone, the easier it will be to get to the positive, and the scales will slowly start to go into this direction. And it might start with neutrality, and then it might go to excitement. Maybe it'll go to motivation. Maybe it'll go to maybe it'll jump up to suddenly you have this burst of faith and joy or laughter, and you have fun. Maybe you decide, I'm just going to have fun this weekend. I'm not going to worry about anything. I'm going to go out with my family and I'm going to have I'm going to go to a pumpkin patch. I'm going to be laughed a lot. So then, laughter is a frequency too. So you catapult. It's actually quite a high frequency. And it doesn't mean you have to remain at that frequency, but whatever frequency that you are in, a majority of the time, you are reflecting that out to the universe. You're attracting that energy back, but that is your contribution to our ascension in the current time. So don't beat yourself up if you have low moments and think, oh my God, I just contributed to the negative. It's not tit for tat like that, but it's an overall overarching kind of average. What are you most often in? And the beautiful thing about all of that is the more you become mindful and aware of these thoughts and how you're contributing or not contributing, or what you're attracting or what you're not attracting, you're mindful of it very fast. So if you catch yourself in a low vibration, you're like, oh, I don't like the way this feels. I don't want to contribute negative, and I don't want to attract negative. So you quickly get yourself out of it. And then maybe you bounce back into the neutral zone for a little bit. But that mindfulness and that knowing, you catch it right away, as opposed to the older version of yourself might have dipped into the worry. And then next thing you know, you were there for days and days and days, and you felt like, oh my God, I can't get out. Now I can't get out of bed. Now I can't do anything. Now I don't want to work. Now I don't want to see my friends. Now that my animals don't even make me happy. How did I end up here? Because it's very heavy and dense, and more dense, the harder it is to get out of it. That's why children struggle so much, that are high frequency beings. When they go in the frequency of fear, they get stuck there because it's so dense, and it's almost like they feel like they're in quicksand and they can't get out. That's the density of the lower density, the more it feels like quicksand, and you can get stuck there, and it's harder. So just the quicker you recognize that you're in it, say, oh, I don't want to be here. You breathe it out, let it go, put yourself in a space of neutrality, and then you're more likely to move in the opposite direction. Yep. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say. I'm trying to help people as much as possible. Just try to be mindful of your thoughts and how you're contributing to all this. What are you focusing your energy on right now? And how it's affecting the collective, and how you're contributing to the co-creation of our reality, and where we want to go, and what we want to see, and what change we want to see. We are the change makers. We are the pioneers. We are the way showers. No one's coming in to rescue us. I do believe we have a lot of help, and a lot of beautiful guides and teachers. But we, at the end of the day, we have to do the work ourselves. And so it's a team effort. We're working together. So when people fight, I just don't understand, because if they realize if we just all work together, we'd get through this much faster. But it is what it is. People are working through their limiting beliefs, their programs, and we have to hold the space for everybody. And that's the reality of where we find ourselves at this time. So take one day at a time. Try to bring yourself to a place of neutrality. If there's anything I said today that made sense, just try to bring yourself to a neutral space. Get out of the dense, dark spaces, and we're going to get through this. I know we will. I know we're going to get through this. So leave a comment. Let me know how everyone's feeling about what I said, and what you're doing to remain positive, and anything you want to share with everybody. Just we do what we can, right? We're just one day at a time. So I hope all of you found this video well and helpful. If you like my videos, remember to share, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. It helps the algorithms. It helps the messages get out. I always forget to say that because I feel weird doing that. I don't like selling myself. I think it's super weird, but I try to remember from time to time. So until next time.